Hey, what's up, marketing ninjas? I wanted to take some time to walk you through a topic that I get a lot of questions about, and that's these pixels and tags and all the stuff that we're embedding into our site to help us with something, but we're not really sure what it is. So what's up with all these pixels and tags? What does it mean? If you think that like seasoning a pixel is something you do before a barbecue, this is the tutorial that I wanted to give to you. We're not going to get granular in like how to install this stuff because there's already thousands of videos that people have done. But I wanted you to understand conceptually what they're for and how you can explain it to somebody who doesn't understand it, like a potential client, a prospect. And then later on down in the page, we're going to include, I'm just going to embed some videos that other people have already done about how to install it. I'm not going to reinvent that wheel, but I do want to walk you through the conversation that I like to have with my clients or prospects, and make sure that you understand the power of these pixels and tags. What are they? What are they for? Why should we use them? Should we even use them? Why do we care? So let's jump right in, and I'm going to start by asking you a question. I'm going to give you a scenario here and let you fill in the blanks. And this is how I explain it to clients, right? So if you were to open up the Amazon app on your phone, okay, you picked up your phone, you go to Amazon, you add a product to your cart, but you don't check out. Okay, so it's in your cart, haven't checked out, haven't paid for it. You wait about 10, 20 minutes, however long, and then you're going to open up your Facebook app and you're going to scroll down until you see some ads. What would you expect that first ad to be? And if you ask that question, if you frame it up like that, everybody is going to go, the first ad isn't just for Amazon, it's for the product that is in my cart in Amazon, which is incredibly powerful. It's kind of creepy, but incredibly powerful. So how do they do that? First off, why do they do that? Well, because obviously it's a reminder to have you pop back over to Amazon, finish that checkout process, and they get that sale. But how do they do it? Well, they do it with this, and everybody goes, what in the heck is this? Well, this is the Facebook pixel. It's just a few lines of code, but it makes all the difference in the world. I'm going to use Facebook as the example that we're going to talk about, but understand that there's a lot of different places, a lot of different ad platforms that use pixels or tags, which are essentially accomplishing very similar functions. So I'm going to use Facebook as the example, but don't think it's just a Facebook thing. It actually works with virtually any online advertising platform. So who specifically do I mean when I say there's a lot of them? Well, Facebook, there's the Facebook Pixel, and Facebook owns Instagram, so that's a cross-platform functionality, okay? And I just put a little screenshot up here that's from ninjamarketing.solutions where it just shows that I do have a Facebook Pixel installed there. You just drop that line of code, that little snippet of code into your site. LinkedIn has one. They call it their Insights tag, but it's essentially the same thing. Google has one that is, they have several. The one that I'm going to focus on here is the retargeting tag. You should already have the Google Analytics tag on your site because it just provides a ton of insight that you need. But the retargeting tag is crazy important too. And just like Facebook owns Instagram and they have that cross-platform relationship, Google owns YouTube. And so if you're wanting to retarget somebody and you've got the Google tag, you can retarget them in the Google ad network or in YouTube. So just think Facebook also includes Instagram, Google also includes YouTube. Bing has what they call their universal event tracking tag. You'll see this called Bing's UET is normally how they frame this up. And so every one of these is just a little snippet of code that you drop into the template of your website, and it fires and tells all these people all the things that we're going to talk about. And dropping them in there one at a time can be tough. You'll see in the videos for installations that a lot of times you can just put in the Google tag container. And if you think about it, the tag container is just this box, right, that you've installed one line of code in your website, and it will load all the things that you've put into that container. And so you could have put all 4 of these into that container. The retargeting tag, you could add your analytics tag, your Bing UET, LinkedIn Insights tag, your Facebook Pixel. I normally keep Facebook Pixel separate from the Google tag container, but you don't have to by any means. So don't get too overwhelmed with like the technical piece of this, because one easy and very efficient way to do it is to just drop the Google tag container code in your website one time, And then anytime you want to add new, like if you had Facebook, Google retargeting, and the Bing UET, and you want to add the LinkedIn Insights tag, you don't have to go change your website at all. You just go add that tag to the container, and that'll be in some of the other videos. So I don't want to get too technical or too granular in this video, but just understand that don't get overwhelmed with adding like snippets of code, because you can do it through a container in the Google Tag Manager. Makes it very efficient, very easy to do. So I want to walk you through an example because I feel like it'll help you understand it. So I want to introduce you to John Doe, right? I'm going to pretend that you have a website and that you're selling like dog accessories for this. And so John Doe is a visitor. He comes to your dog accessories website, and John's simultaneously logged into Facebook. And again, just I'm in this example, you have a dog website, a dog accessories website, and we're going to use Facebook as the example, but all of these work the same way. So he's logged into Facebook, because who isn't? Everybody's always logged into Facebook and Google. That's what makes this so powerful. So John's on your website, he's logged into Facebook, and your Facebook pixel that you have on your site recognizes John because he's logged in, right? So Facebook's ad platform is going to study his online persona. It's going to learn everything it can about him, and it does this quickly, behind the scenes, automatically. But it knows all the demographics about John. Like, for example, it knows that John might be a 43-year-old white male. He's married, speaks English. He's visiting you on a mobile device, or whatever. It's got all of that information. It knows that he's in Kansas City, Missouri, so it knows his geographic location. And then it knows his interests and behaviors that he's listed out in his profile. Like things that he's specific, like favorite book and that kind of stuff. Well, to go one step further, what else does Facebook know about John? Well, from his Facebook activities, it knows that John follows a German Shepherd rescue page in his local city. We'll say Kansas City. It knows that John checked into 2 different dog parks in the Kansas City area last month. It knows that John is a member of a group for people who take their dogs to that specific dog park, right? So it knows quite a bit about John, but let's get really creepy. Let's see what we can really find out about John. Well, Facebook's also been tracking all of his online activities, like his behaviors, all over the internet. Every website that has the Facebook pixel installed on it, which is like all the major sites that he would ever visit. If John's logged into Facebook, which he is, whenever he visits all these other sites, it's tracking all his information about that too. So what do we also know about John? Well, we know that John visited Chewy.com, and he subscribed to buy dog food from him. We know that he bought a dog bed on Amazon 2 weeks ago. See where this is going? We know that John watched 4 videos in the past week about dog training. In short, Facebook knows that John really likes dogs. He's really into dogs because he has both interests and behaviors regarding dogs. And what's the difference in those two? Well, the interest is he follows a German Shepherd rescue page. He watched 4 videos in the past week about dog training. Well, he also has behaviors, okay? He bought Chewy.com subscription, so he bought dog food. He bought a dog bed. So we know that John's got a dog, right? That's the important difference between interests and behaviors. I live in a college football town. We really like college football here, so I will always tell clients that, if you're trying to figure out the difference in an interest and behavior for me, I like UGA football. So you might target me. I have an interest in UGA football. So you might target me with like memorabilia, like sweatshirts, like season tickets, stuff like that. If I had a behavior, not an interest in UGA football, you might target me with like workout equipment, shoulder pads, cleats, that kind of stuff. So John has both. Interest, follows the page. He, clicks like on a bunch of the videos that he's watched. He's got this interest, but also he's got behaviors. He's checking into dog parks. He's visiting Chewy.com and getting dog food. Like, he's got both. He's really into dogs, right? Why do we care? Well, you can probably already put 2 and 2 together. If you have a website selling dog accessories, you can probably put together why this is important to us, but how does it directly impact our marketing? Well, John has taken a desired action on our dog website, our dog accessory website. He's reached some conversion point. Conversion point is just basically like he reached a goal. And you can have a bunch of different ones. Like, for instance, John bought a product on our site, or he signed up for a newsletter, or he registered an account, whatever it is. And you can have multiple, because somebody who signs up for your newsletter, they're important to you as a customer, but they're not quite as important as somebody who bought a product, right? So you can have different conversions, so to speak. We're just going to say that John took a desired action on our website. And our ad platforms, they want to get more efficient with our ad spend. They want to get better at delivering good ads for us. So John reached that conversion point, which makes him a successful visitor. We've defined success to our pixels and tags. And so these ad platforms say, okay, John's a type guy that was a successful visitor on this site. Then they'll compare that successful visitor to other potential people. What do they have in common? What about their online interest, behaviors, profiles? What about them do they have in common with other people that might make a good, successful visitor? And then let's show these ads that you're running for your site to more people that match that criteria. And that's really nice of them, right? Because it's going to say, okay, John has interests and behaviors in dogs, and so let's find other people that have interests and behaviors in dogs, and let's show ads to those people that are similar to John. Well, why would they do that for us? That's really nice of them, but why? Well, because they want us to succeed. Why do they want us to succeed? Because we'll pay them more money in the ad program. That's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Like, that's actually a very good thing. These algorithms, the advertising algorithms, the more data they gather about our site, about our successful visitors and unsuccessful visitors, the more it starts to understand that online persona of who is converting well for us, and they'll show that to other people. It's fantastic for us. Well, okay, that's all well and good, but what can we do with it? What's actionable about this information? Well, first and foremost, you can set up custom audiences. So with this data, we can build out groups of people that we want to start targeting with ads. Like, you could upload a customer list. If I've got 5,000 people who've bought my product, then I can upload a list and I can tell Google or Facebook in this example, these people have bought from me, and so I want to build out a customer list that I can start advertising again to, because they're clearly a good potential client for us. So customer list based on specific actions. We can also do lookalike audience, and a lookalike audience is exactly what it sounds like. It's basically, here's a list of people that have taken a desired action. Find me more people who look like them, whose online persona matches some of those interests and behaviors and the things that they're into. Like, find me more people that match that criteria, and let's start showing ads to them, right? Because it's a very impactful, very cost-effective way to do it. We can also set up retargeting campaigns. And so what that means is we can show different ads to people who either took or did not take a specific action on our site. And this is one that I really want to kind of dig down into, because especially if you're talking to a prospect or a client that you're trying to walk them through your campaign and help them understand the power of this thing, retargeting ads is great. So a retargeting campaign is much more cost effective than ads to a cold audience. And that one's fairly easy to understand, right? There's all kinds of studies that would indicate that it's 4 to 7 times more effective to run advertisements or to call on or whatever, to do general marketing to somebody who already knows you as opposed to a complete stranger. That's not hard to understand, because the visitor is already familiar with you. They already have been to your site, or they've already done whatever desired action. So they're already familiar with you. It's not a cold audience, not brand new. And so with the retargeting campaign, we can actually develop out a campaign of ad sequences as our visitor either takes action or does not take action. And we can show them different ads to help pull them through that sales funnel, that sales cycle. We can help them through it. So some examples might be, if they watch 80% of my video. Well, if they watch 80% of my sales video, they're probably pretty interested, right? They stuck around. If I got a 10-minute video and they watched 8 minutes of it, that's some pretty high user engagement. They're probably fairly interested in what I'm doing. So I might drop them into a custom audience. Maybe if they visited my site more than 3 times, or they visited more than 3 pages. If I got an e-commerce shop with dog accessories, maybe they visited 3 different pages before they bounced off the site. Maybe I'm showing them a webinar and they watched it, but they did not convert. In other words, at the end of the webinar, maybe I'm asking them to sign up for a newsletter or register an account or buy a product, and maybe they did not watch the video. Well, so you could start retargeting these people. Like, let's just take the watched 80% of my sales video but didn't buy it. Well, maybe now, instead of showing them the same ad that got them to watch the video, that one worked great, but they watched 80% of it, and maybe the last 20% is about pricing. So on my next ad, maybe we start showing them a different video or a different image that says, hey, you're clearly fairly interested, but you bounced off when we started talking about price, so here's a 15% discount. Click the link below and come on back, right? It's just a way to nurture them through that sequence of ads. It's just having a conversation with them. And I always try to explain it to clients to think of it like dating. If they're married, the first date they went out on with their spouse, right? They had some kind of conversation, and it's normally fairly high level because you might not know much about each other. But when you go on a second date and a third date and a fourth date, that conversation has developed and matured, right? Because it would be ridiculous to be on your third or fourth date and talk about the exact same things you talked about on the first date. It would just be very unnatural, very uncomfortable. And yet that's what a lot of people who are doing lead gen or they're doing, pay-per-click ad campaigns, that's what they're doing. They're showing the same ad to people over and over and over again. Well, if it didn't get them to convert, why would you show them the exact same thing over and over again? Why wouldn't you take them through a sequence and have a full conversation with them and let that relationship between you and that prospect or you and that client, let it develop as they get to know more about you or your product or your business or whatever. So think of it like dating. And then worse yet is some people, when they do their ad spend, they will literally just drop down on one knee and ask for marriage. And if they don't get a yes, then what do? They just propose more times. And that's not necessarily the right way of going about it either. We want to be able to develop that conversation. So think about it like dating, and you're trying to develop that conversation, and you do that by building creative campaigns. And what I mean by creative campaigns, there's advantages and disadvantages to each one of these platforms, right? So, example, Google has some advantages and disadvantages. For instance, it's an intent-based search. Somebody went and searched for, in our example with John Doe, they went and searched for dog leashes or dog bowls or whatever. It's an intent-based search. They're looking for it. So it's a high-quality lead because it's something they're seeking out, right? But because it's such a high-quality lead, it's also a very expensive lead. It's substantially more expensive than Facebook or Instagram or even YouTube, as an example. If you look at it like that, why is it more expensive? Well, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube are interruption ads. That you're just interrupting somebody that was doing something else. So nobody came to Facebook or Instagram looking to buy something. They were visiting that platform because it's for the social media perspectives of it. So it's less expensive to advertise to those people, but it's because it's less intent-based. It's a less high-quality lead. So it might require some nurturing to get them to a buying process. Not saying you shouldn't do it. There's some awesome advantages in that. But what I'm saying is you should look at combining the power of both. And so what I mean is if you generate leads off of one, you can start retargeting them on others. In other words, maybe I'm willing to pay for an intent-based search on Google, but they don't convert. They don't buy my product. Well, if Google's too expensive, maybe I'm retargeting to them on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or whatever, or vice versa. Maybe it's too expensive to generate that lead the first time. So I'm willing to take a lower intent, a lower quality lead off of like YouTube ads or Instagram ads or whatever. And when they land on the site, now I've picked them up with a Google retargeting tag. I can start retargeting them across all the Google network. So just basically understand that you can combine the power of both. You can generate leads off one and then retarget them on that same platform or across other platforms. You can also mix in some of the things that aren't as expensive or aren't pay-per-click, like SEO, organic SEO, local SEO. You can throw in chatbots and things like that. So as an example for this, maybe I'm ranking really well in the organic, in the SERPs. I'm like number 2. And so I'm getting a lot of clicks on through my SEO campaign that I've been doing for months and got some really good traffic from it. Well, I can start retargeting people, which is substantially more cost effective. People are visiting my site through organic SEO and that pixel or tag is picking them up. Now I can start retargeting to them at a fraction of the cost of actually targeting a cold audience with ads. So just get creative and play around with some of the different ways depending on your budget, your goals, and the amount of traffic that you're getting organically. Just play around with some of the different options from that. So we've talked a lot about ads, and so some of you are sitting there going, I don't run ads. So if I don't run ads, should I still use these pixels? Should I still care about any of these tags? Well, I would stop you right there and say, first off, if you're not running ads, why are you not running ads? Because a positive return on ad spend, that's a good thing for your business, right? If I'm spending, for every $1.25 that I'm spending, if I'm getting $2.75 back, spend more, right? Like you should strongly consider it. But some of you are sitting there going, nope, I'm not going to do it. So these pixels and these tags are just not for me, right? No, you should absolutely still be using them because they provide data. like a lot of data. So every one of these platforms also includes an analytics dashboard where you can learn things about the people that are visiting your site. I can't get down to the individual level for privacy reasons. Like I can't see that, all the stuff we knew about John Doe. I won't be able to click on it and see John Doe's Facebook profile. It doesn't give me that granular of a detail, but it does tell me that, some of the things that are common amongst my visitors are, the commonalities between them. And so an example might be with Google, I can see what keywords were they searching to find me. That might help me understand which keywords I need to bid more on, right? And it also tells me which ones aren't working, that I can drop the ad spend off of those and put some of that money toward the correct ones. Or if I'm not running ads, the keywords might help me understand what I need to be targeting for an SEO effort. LinkedIn will give me like job title, the time with the company, the seniority of it, what industry they work in. That's really good for understanding how to target people. Again, even if you're not doing ads, maybe you're writing messaging for your blog posts and you're wanting to really say, like for the guy, if in our example, if everybody is in their mid-40s that's buying our dog leashes, they're in their mid-40s and they happen to work in management, engineering, and whatever, maybe I start using some of those keywords that would be pertinent to them in my blogs. Facebook will give you the genders, the age, the engagements, the interests, all that. So you get the point. It's important to be able to use all these different pixels and tags because each one of them is going to show you more information that's pertinent to your audience based on what they're good at. Like for instance, LinkedIn tracks job titles much more aggressively than Facebook does. Google tracks keywords and search-based terms much more effectively than Facebook does because nobody's searching it, right? So understand that every one of them offers advantages for insights into who's visiting that you can use to get better in your marketing initiatives, even if it doesn't include ad spend. And just as an example, this is a LinkedIn Insights screenshot. Shows you a couple of different company updates, shows you some engagement. It shows you like down here, follower by company industry, advertising, consulting, financial, by job function, by job seniority, by company size. Like these are just some metrics that you can get. And this may not have anything to do like with dog leashes, but maybe you do professional consulting services and you're trying to really hone in on the people that are getting the most traction out of your blogs or your posts. Do they work in a specific industry? You gain all that information through your LinkedIn Insights. And so having your tags and your pixel setup just gives you a ton of additional potential. And it's a service that can differentiate you from other potential providers. I can't tell you how many times I look at somebody's website, a business's website, that paid good money for their website, but they don't have a Facebook pixel installed. Are you kidding me? Or they're not using a Google retargeting tag, or they don't have the Bing, the UET tag in there. Like, why not? They're free to use. It doesn't cost you anything to use any of these pixels or these tags. So low-hanging fruit, even if they're never going to use ad spend or they don't plan on it, you're still getting the data. And by the way, a lot of times I'll include all this data, and 6 months down the road, the client's looking at all this data they now have, and they go, maybe we should advertise a little bit. And now we've got all this information about who we should be advertising to, so your ad spend is just better spent. It's just a more cost-effective solution. So this is kind of an overview of it. Again, the installation of it and how you get it on your website. A lot of people have already made those videos, so I'm just going to include those in this page down below. If you're watching this video on like Facebook or YouTube or something like that, click the link in the description. It'll take you to the full training page where we'll have other videos that will be for the installation of it and links to how you actually go find them in your different consoles. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you get anything out of this, drop us a comment. If you got questions, put them in the Facebook group. We got a Facebook group, totally free. If you have any questions, just reach out to us. We're happy to help out. We'll look forward to the next training. Thanks, guys.